I'm Anthony Nicholson. I'm a senior producer on Borderlands 3.
Handsome Jack is basically in the face of the villain in the Borderlands franchise. What was it like having completely original new villains in the Borderlands franchise for the first time to kind of take his place?
So we know that how beloved Handsome Jack is, and what a great video game villain that he has been for the series. So it meant a lot that people were kind of concerned, if you will, like, oh no, what if there's no Handsome Jack? Because we know that Handsome Jack is dead. What happens? So we take that into consideration whenever we're building out these characters. But the Calypso Twins are a different type of beast in their own right, the different type of antagonist. And I think you saw a lot of that whenever we were watching, and how they kind of poke fun at the player and taunt them, and they're sending their followers after them. So they have a little bit more, and like you talked about, Tyreen has powers. She's a siren. She's an evil siren. So I think people would be really surprised and really happy with how we're doing antagonists this time.
You talk about what making a game taking place in this rich, lush Borderlands universe opens up for your team creatively.
It allows them to do stuff that we haven't really been able to do before. There's been different dabblings with things in DLCs for the Borderlands 2 or pre-sequel games, but this really allows us to kind of double down on what we can do in different environments. There's lush jungles and forests and swamps and marshes. There's the cityscape. There's roads, like real roads and overpasses and long buildings and things like that are happening. So it really allows the team to be more creative in their thought process whenever it comes to building out and decoing these different places, because there's things that you didn't really get to do before in a desert landscape.
Staying on that topic, how do advances in technology, the RTX and these ATIs and the Xbox One X and PS4 Pros, and hell, even Nintendo Switch, even though it's small, it's pretty powerful. What does it open up for your team creatively?
Yeah, so obviously it'll look a lot better on 4K HDR like on the Xbox One X, but it also allows us to make a bigger game, just because games, this type of technology, now we can put more into the game world. I think that it's being able to get that type of graphic fidelity in the engine that we have now. Yeah, like you mentioned, we used a heavily modified version of the Unreal 3 engine before, and now we're on Unreal 4, and so there's a lot more in that toolkit that allows us to be able to see those things more crisply. Whenever you're looking at it out there, it's still the stylized inking that people have come to love and know as the Borderlands art style, but it just looks really pristine. It looks really clean. It's very colorful whenever you go to these different areas, and I think that's really allowed us to have an experience that people are really going to love and really like looking at.
Do you have a favorite character in the franchise?
Maya. She's my favorite.
And why?
Because she's a siren. I also like the color blue, so she has a lot of different, the things that she was doing, the blues and the purples and stuff like that. But I'm a siren person. I like playing as Lilith. I like playing as Maya, and now I like playing as Amara. So I think Maya helped me to push me in that direction on this game, even though they're all really cool.
What do you think it is about the Borderlands franchise that's had it withstand the test of time?
I think it's the genre that we kind of created with this first-person RPG mechanic, right? Like it makes it to where you have all this variety. You can just go in and play the game, and every time you play it, it's different. Like there's something to be said about that. You can go like you were talking about playing, or the remaster, the Game of the Year edition. I can jump in that game and play it, and it's different than any other time that I've ever played before, even if I pick the same characters, because of the loot and the guns and different things like that.
Speaking of more of a producer role, what was your greatest challenge on this specific process?
I think my toughest, the toughest job that I have had is to kind of, I want people to be as creative as possible, but we also have to understand that we have to do it in a limited amount of time, and that's my job, is to make sure that we can do things in a responsible but extremely polished way in an amount of time. and ideas never stop, and we don't ever want them to stop. Great ideas come from all over the place. At Gearbox, everyone contributes, from people who work at the front desk to the executives up in the upper echelon of the company. And we want to make sure that all of those ideas are coming, and there's just a plethora of all this different stuff that can happen. But it's my job to make sure that we say, okay, that's a really good idea. We should investigate that at this time, or maybe we can look at that down the road or something like that. So that's probably it.
Were there any ideas that you really liked to see in the game, but you didn't have time to do it, or it just wasn't financially possible to put them in the game in the amount of time you had left?
Honestly, I don't think so. I'm really concentrated on all the things that we do have. I came in, so we've been working on the game for about 5 years now, and I came in at about the 2-year mark. So a lot of the things that we really wanted to do, like I was talking about, building on that foundation, we kind of established and kind of rallied around those key pillars and those points. So there really hasn't been too much that was like, oh man, we can't do this, so we're upset about it or anything like that. Like, it's been a really good process going through and making the game.
So when does the game come out, and what platforms will it be on?
So the game comes out on September 13th, and it'll be on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation.
Any plans for Nintendo Switch? Because I have to ask.
Not any that I know about.